Cue music?
Sure.
Just checking we don't have any music, but...
Are you going to put music?
I'll probably put music in.
What would it...
So I actually made a song, we wrote a song a little bit ago that I think is like kind of good. It's got good energy and it just like, maybe like right now. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Welcome to episode 1 of the Born2BNerd Podcast.
Yeah.
We've been wanting to do it for a while.
Yeah.
And just like schedules and
Life
and timing and as it goes.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Born2BNerd in any way, shape, or form, welcome.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. And if you're tuning in, you know, if you were the channel in any of its iterations, welcome back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've done anything Born2BNerd related.
Dude, especially together.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about it the other day. 2019? 2020?
Yeah. No, it would be 19 because basically, like, once I moved,
yeah,
I was just like,
yeah.
and yeah.
Because you're trying to, like, do the gaming thing, too. Like, really push that.
Yeah, I was trying to do the streaming and gaming, yeah. Yeah, which I still do a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to record tonight, actually. Yeah. Or stream, I mean.
Just straight on Twitch?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I love streaming. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I love gaming. Like, streaming games, I think, is a better way to get my personality, I think, than, like, the reactions were. You know? Doing solo reactions especially, like, I had nothing to, like, engage my thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
So you're just, like, forcing yourself to say things out loud, and it just didn't work. But gaming has been, like, a good way to pull that personality out a little bit more.
I think, like, the reaction model in itself, it lends itself to, like, not to be performative, but, like, you have to be on. Like, that's the whole point. It's like you're reacting to, like, give a good reaction. So you kind of have to do this, like, extra version of yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, how entertaining are you going to be?
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Especially in a world of hyped reaction videos.
Yeah.
How are you going to stand out?
I know.
And then, like, I mean, I kind of stepped away from it because my schedule was getting way too crazy with work.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
You were working, like, what? Like 50, 60 hours a week sometimes?
Oh, yeah. It was at least 60 hours a week. Like, 12-hour days minimum.
Yeah.
Sometimes 14s. Sometimes 16s. Yeah. But it was just like, oh, man. Like, you need a whole day to recover from that. And then the next day was just, like, getting the week in front of you set up.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have time to do anything.
Yeah.
But I'm super glad to be back doing this.
Yeah.
Or to start doing this.
To try, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think we talked about it, like, before, about, like, the stakes. Ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about before about, like, this, I mean, a million people do podcasts now, but, like, the point is like, you don't have to be extra. You don't have to be, some days you're going to feel flat, you know? And it's just a conversation, you know, or at least that's how I'd like to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That way it's not, like, really forcing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, as far as the schedule of it now, like, 1, maybe 2 a month, like, maybe, you know, like, super laid back schedule. So
yeah, for sure.
We're not really worried about pushing them out. But yeah, I'm super stoked to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think, like, one of the reasons we're doing this is because, like, we have these conversations anyway.
Yeah.
And, like, I think we both bring, like, unique perspectives and, like, and likes and interest within different nerdums that other people could relate to. I mean, if I'm into certain stuff, I know other people are.
Yeah,
same with you. So it's like just getting different perspectives on, you know, different anime or different shows or whatever.
Yeah. And I think you and I like to dissect not just the content that we're talking about, but
You said the C word.
You don't like that?
You said the C word. I'm just joking. You can say it. It's just funny. Just one of those words.
But we also like dissect the love or the approach of fans behind that material. Yeah. So like we don't just talk about a show, we talk about what people are thinking about the show, or like how like the show might be interpreted by different people. And like I think that's a approach. Like we could talk about this character or that character all day long, but I think what I like about us is that we also approach it from like an artistic standpoint, from a theological standpoint, all kinds of stuff, you know? So I think that's something that lends itself to being a good idea for a podcast.
Yeah. I have to also, because like you're an actor, you know, or your background in acting, like you also bring a very specific like point of view and reference point to shows in particular, where it's like, why, like, not, we know that like a performance is awesome. Yeah. Like we know that it's like, I felt something about, but what, why? Mm-hmm. And so like I've seen you do it before where you're like, this is why it's so good. Yeah. Like, let me tell you why this was so fucking good. Yeah. You know what I mean? And not a lot of people can do that because they don't have that background.
Right.
So it's just cool.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? Just for the peeps listening.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of like towards the end of Born to Be Nerd, like I stopped recording videos and putting them on YouTube, or like towards the end of COVID lockdown, like 2020. I remember I was recording so much during COVID, like during the lockdown. I spent a year at home and I was just recording every day, just recording. I was uploading like multiple videos a week. Yeah. I was doing so much. And
you're like editing and everything. You didn't pay an editor or anything.
No, right? I was doing everything. And it was exhausting. And then I was starting to like run into so many issues because a lot of people were recording videos and a lot of people were uploading to YouTube in that period. Yeah. And so YouTube started to get even heavier with its like control. Yeah. And I just completely lost interest. Like just putting in literally like hours of work into editing, and then to see it get like constantly blocked and restricted. It was just so exhausting. And I just started to lose interest. And then I just started to focus on like streaming and stuff. And so I let go of the channel thinking that like maybe whenever I, get big enough with streaming, I can start uploading videos to YouTube. But for now, I don't feel confident in just like starting a different type of content. I'm gonna just let it go completely until I figure something else out. So then I just spent that time, like, especially after lockdown ended, just like hitting the grindstone at work. Yeah. And that was, becoming lead bartender and cocktail lead, like, and then to manage, that was like, it just took up a lot of my time. Yeah. But
also, I mean, as far as like the producing, like the amount of videos that you were doing, like, I don't think a lot of people who are maybe the younger crowd, really get like just how much of like the Wild West YouTube was. Yeah. In like 2014 to like 2018. Yeah. Like even in around like 19, not that period, like 18 to 20 is where things shifted. Yeah. And like you were getting, like we would get flagged, or you'd be like, blah, like copyright infringement. It was like, what are you talking about, man? Whereas like literally a year before, it was like you could post whatever you wanted to, basically, and like make money off of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like it felt like we were reaching a position where we were gonna be able to like go full time. Like, dude, it had that potential.
I remember like the Attack on Titan videos or the Game of Thrones videos or the My Hero videos. I mean, I haven't looked at them in a while, but like well over like I know it was over 100,000. It was
Yeah.
over, but I want to say that Game of Thrones was like over 200,000 or something like that.
I think they're around like 300. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, it was a
300,000.
lot, and it was consistent. It
Yeah.
was like bam, bam, bam,
Yeah.
and then like even on the My Hero stuff, I think we were hitting like 30 to 50.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
And it was
I think
like,
I think
holy
there's a
shit.
couple that are like in the 70,000 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it felt good. And then all of a sudden it's like,
like
yeah, we're getting like, well, and they're just taking the revenue away.
yeah,
And that's huge. Whenever like you're trying to pursue something to like take over your job so you can actually like
oh
focus
dude,
on
it's
it.
a total gut punch.
Yeah, and it's just like we went from making like, between the payouts of YouTube and Patreon, like, we were splitting the payments from those and, getting a couple $100
Yeah,
a month at first and then like slowly building, like it had so much potential, and then it went from that to zero, like just like you're not making any money on anything now.
and I mean, it's especially with like the what do you call it, not the review, the whatchamacallit videos. My head's blanking right now.
Reaction
videos. Oh, Jesus Christ. On the reaction videos, you had to cut, like you couldn't like just let a scene play
Yeah.
at all.
No.
I mean, it was so bop, 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 so much cutting you had to do, or like doing like the layer over to like so that the actual image couldn't quite pick up, like if bots were trying to sweep on it, I'm like, Jesus.
I had to do so much editing. Like I had to time each clip. First of all, I had to take out anything that had music. So you take out everything that has music. If it does have music, then you take out the overlay and try to create some kind of like audio adjustment to where our dialogue or something would overcome it. And then if not, you have to like add music over it or mute it or something, which that makes it sound bad. And cause I focus on the editing. Like I want it to look clean. I want it to look smooth. I want like it to flow so that it almost feels like a recap, whereas like you're missing a lot of the stuff, but somehow you get all the details, I was trying to edit with
intent.
Yeah, I didn't want to do like what a lot of reactors do now, where they just like chop it up and they send it out. Like I was trying to create like a flow with it and stuff. So I had to do that by like analyzing and like measuring. Like I would pull it into frames. Like I would pull each clip into frames. So I'll be like, the music stops here, the music starts here. And then I'd have to time the clips. So then I had to be like, okay, well, it can't be longer than 6 seconds. So each clip has to be 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So if a scene that I did want to show was longer than 6 seconds, I had to find like some kind of pause or some kind of break or just a couple of words that weren't necessary.
Yeah.
And then snip them out.
Yeah.
And I had to do that
over and over and over and over
for a 30 to 45 minute episode. And holy hell, was that a lot. That was so much. Not to mention like the type of like editing where if I wanted to add
any discussion at the after, like in the after.
Yeah, but if I wanted to add like dubbing or subtitles to our language for heightened effect or anything like that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to add any type
After Effects.
Yeah, any kind of fun thing, if it felt like that, like I had to do that within the edit that I made to where it fit with the adjustments. Oh God, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. It was fun at first whenever I knew that my finished product was going to be like well received. It was going to make us some money. It was going to like, be submitted and then be out in the world so people could watch it.
Yeah.
But the minute that started becoming a thing where like I would do all of that and then it would immediately get blocked.
Yeah.
No. That was my
breaking point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's why I like with this one, like we talked about maybe doing like video at some point, but like for the first, I don't know, however long, it's going to be audio only. I mean, I think I'm going to upload to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon, and whatever else the other ones are right now. But I'm going back and forth on YouTube. Like some people say, yeah, do it. And then some people are like, dude, you can do it. It's free. That's the thing. But even with like language, like I curse a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to have to go through and do bark noises every time somebody says,
yeah,
fuck,
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be a good idea to put it on video.
Yeah.
I really do. But that just adds another like level of like having to do the editing,
Yeah.
you know? And I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
And like once you like figure out what you want to do next, you're not going to have time to do it either.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where like the ease of schedule comes in, of like how we're just taking this as it goes, you
Yeah.
know? And if it becomes too much, like we can dial it back or whatever. If it goes to where it's like, all right, well, that like just doing audio of it is super sustainable. Like I can definitely do one a month. Let's see if we can do two a month.
Yeah.
All right, that's sustainable.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know, I mean, we'll cross the bridge when we get there. But yeah, that's another thing. Like I wanted to make sure that like we're both having fun on it
Mm-hmm.
and like take the pressure, because you had so much on you
Yeah.
the last go around. Like
Yeah.
take that pressure off and kind of keep it as fun as we possibly can.
Right. That was something that like I had to like think about whenever you approached me with it. I was like, man, I get the idea of like doing it and how fun it could be.
Yeah.
But after what I went through with the YouTube thing, like just putting another project on myself, I
Yeah.
just couldn't. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't step up to it. I like couldn't commit. Like I had to, because I was lead cocktail at the bar, and I was put in charge of coming up with a special cocktail every week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you know much about like workshopping cocktails, but
I do my whiskey sours, and that's what I stick with.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they wanted me to come up with a special cocktail to sell every Tuesday night. And that means, okay, well, let's come up with a recipe. So let's think about, we'll play on a sidecar. So sidecar is orange liqueur, brandy, lemon, maybe some orange juice or something, depending on how you make it. And okay, what can we change with it? Well, let's try yuzu instead of lemon. Let's try sake instead of brandy. And then, you try to come up with like a Japanese
And then a
version
funny
of sake.
name
Yeah.
with it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that. And then let's workshop it. So get the flavors right, get the ingredients right. And then let's do that every single week.
Yeah. And by the way, you do all this, but like someone is like, nah, I don't think this is right. You should redo it.
Right. Not only that, we also have to order the ingredients. Like I don't have like an entire workshop of ingredients to do that from.
Yeah.
Like I have to work with what we have, and then if I come up with an idea, I have to order it from our supplier. And then if I get that ingredient and turns out like when we workshop it and taste it, it doesn't work, well then I either have to figure out a way to use what I have or order another ingredient, which we can't afford to do every single cocktail.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like I had to tell the owner, I was like, hey, I can't do this. Like this is way too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a place where I can workshop cocktails every single week, especially when there are so many cocktails that actually exist.
Yeah.
I just can't. And this was kind of the same thing where I was like, I love the idea of it, but I just don't have the capacity to like run a project,
Yeah.
But I think, you kind of wanting to take the lead on it and take some of that like pressure off made it a lot more approachable for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think like I just want us to have fun together.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like, and I'm also at a place right now where like I do need a project anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, to me it made sense. And again, I'm just trying to keep it like as fun and as relaxed as we can do it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun, like reconnecting over the last, I guess, has it been a year now that we've like
kind of, yeah,
been kind of back into, man, I don't know if it was the same for you, but COVID messed me up.
Yeah. It did. And then like,
I know work put a lot of pressure on you too.
yeah, that was my big thing. 'Cause I was like already, I was having this like huge spike in my career. Like, right. So like I'm an electrician for film and TV, and I started in 2018, And 2019 like was really taking off. Like I was hitting show after show, like with the same like consistent crew, and like it was really taking off, and it was consistent, and I was busy, and it was great. I was tired, because it was rigging, but it was fine. And then all of a sudden, it was just this hard stop, and like with COVID, right?
Yeah.
And no one knew anything. Like that's the thing is everyone's always said like, don't worry, like the industry is recession proof. It's recession proof, dude.
Yeah.
Like you can't kill this behemoth. Well, it's not quarantine proof.
Yeah.
It's not pandemic proof. And so like everybody else, I was out of a job for 6 months or however long it was. And then it just like I was fortunate and again to be on like one of the first shows that started back with the Red Notice. And it just like, it would just hit the ground. And then we did that and then immediately went into Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
And full run into that. And that's what killed me.
Yeah.
That, because it went from being like not knowing and then just, jumping a leap of faith back onto this train, this bullet train that's just, hauling ass past you and holding on, white knuckling for dear life, holding on to that thing. And I did that for like another year and a half. And I was like, so like when the streaming war started with Netflix, with Disney, with Hulu, all of them, there wasn't this like, and this like carries over to where things are now with the film industry. It's like, there's not this like attention to detail. There's not this like artistic mindset anymore.
Yeah.
It's just produce, get it out, because they're going to have their stuff out in August. We have to have something out in August. And so it's just go, go, go. And it's such an unrealistic work environment. And I'm super happy that the actors and the writers got what they wanted. But the IATSE people and the Teamsters, our deal is coming up in a couple months. And that's why things aren't, progressing as fast as they could be right now. But, all that to say is I got super burnt out with that shit back in like 2021 coming off of COVID, because it made me realize like how much time I was spending away from Shelby and the house and like the dogs, and I was like, you don't realize when you're spending 12 plus hours a day, like every single day, like just how much time you're missing. And then you do, and then you go back to doing it and you're like, oh my God, like what am I doing? And then my body was getting just destroyed, know? And so I made a transition over to fixtures but it's the same thing. You're spending so much time, man. Time is the biggest thing. And I don't know. It's like this second layoff with the writer's strike, it's like made me definitely realize I need to find out what I really want to do.
Yeah.
Whether that's some kind of production and something that's super indie and I have control of it, whatever the hell that means. But, I don't know, man. It hit me. I was in a kind of dark place for a while. Cause then like, and Missy passed, for those of you that used to watch the channel, Missy passed back in 2021. A few days before Christmas, and
2021. Man, time goes by so fast.
Yeah, dude. We had just moved into the house. We moved in and we signed the paperwork on my birthday in September, and that's like around the time we found out about the cancer.
Yeah,
and it grew so fast. We had an emergency surgery done in like October.
Yeah. And
then it grew back twice as fast.
Damn.
In December, we had to call it.
Yeah.
She was 14. She's the best girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that just killed me, dude.
Yeah.
And like, I thought I was just like burying, and that's what it was. I was masking. I was just burying my head in my work. I wasn't processing anything.
Yeah.
And that just imploded, man.
Yeah.
Like eventually, I remember like when I got done with Guardians, I remember sitting on the beach. I went back to Wilmington, which is the first time since we went back to Wilmington. Summer of 2017?
Yeah.
Sometime.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Wow.
So 5 years. First time I went back to Wilmington, and it was like, I remember just sitting on the beach and just being like an exposed nerve.
Yeah.
And just like like the literal waves just like crashing down on me emotionally,
Yeah.
just being like, I've not processed anything. You know what I mean? That was a big wake up call, dude, of like where I was at mentally and emotionally and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
so it's been, you know, life. Like it's life.
Yeah, dude.
I know you've had you know, darker spots with it too. So
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, I mean, it's like, I went through like living here by myself was really nice. Like moving here was the first time I had ever been by myself. Like, not had any roommates, not been crashing anywhere, not been living with family.
Yeah.
Like, I finally got my own place and it was really nice. But I think like what I realized or what I didn't realize that was happening was spending so much time on my own was like,
almost detrimental.
no, it wasn't detrimental. It was, I think looking back now, I never like, I'd used spending time with other people as a way to like not think about my own issues, you know, my own like darknesses and stuff. Like, I was like, I'm an introvert and like I'm a homebody, but the second I'm alone, I'm watching TV, I'm playing video games, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's like literally just a distraction tactic, you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, I'm like, I was hanging out with you, I was working or whatever. And so like just being here, especially like after lockdown, and then when I didn't have anything to like record, I didn't have anything to do because the channel wasn't working. And like, it just like, and then all this stuff happened with my family and everything. It was just like too much, way too much.
Mhm.
And then I like, you know, I found out that I have an anxiety disorder, and then started going to therapy, and just like, oh, that was so necessary. That was so necessary.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest like just learning that I have an anxiety issue or anxiety disorder and like getting on medication, that just like helped. It changed so much. It just changed so much. Just realizing that like, oh, like all the like frustration I always feel, all the tension I always feel, the reason that I don't like being around crowds of people and all this and that, like that like all came in to like view of like why, you know, it had like a reason, and then I could start working on it. And then like finding out I'm autistic, like that was like life changing, because then it made me realize everything that like caused problems before, where like you know, issues with hierarchy, where like I had so many conflicts with my parents growing up because I didn't see hierarchy the way they did, you know?
Right.
Which is like normal with people with autism. It's like we don't see, like, we don't understand hierarchies in terms of like respect and like, I listen to what you say because you are higher than me. Like, yeah, but my logic tells me that like my way is right, you know, like you're not making any sense. Why do I listen to you just because you're higher than me whenever like you're not doing something that makes any sense?
Yeah.
And
to
like,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I learned so much about myself, and it made like, I remember telling like, cause the first, like, you know, talking to Ashley, like the first time we met at work, and I think within a week I accidentally made her cry.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about it all the time because like what happened was I was giving her notes about something at work, but her side was I like came at her and was like, you're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. You're doing this wrong. And like, it made her cry, you know? And like, I remember exactly what she's talking about. And in my head, I was like, dude, this girl is so pretty. I want to make sure that she does a good job. Like, I don't want
You're doing great, man. Just keep it up.
Yeah, I was like,
you're doing great.
Give her
She's gonna love this information you're giving her right now.
I was like, give her notes, like help guide her so that she can like fall into work properly and not like have any issues, and she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know that like one thing with autism is that sometimes your tone doesn't come out the way that you intend it to, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why like a lot of people with like low level autism are often misunderstood, because their outward tones don't often match their inward tones, you know?
Yeah.
And that creates conflict and like misunderstandings and stuff. And so learning about that, it's like, it makes so much sense why we had conflicts at the beginning of our relationship, is because like I didn't know that what she was getting was completely opposite what I was trying to send out, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and it's the same way with every single person that I've ever had a relationship with. And so now I have like a standpoint of like when I'm talking to people and when I'm like engaging with other people, I can like think about, okay, are you coming off the way you want to come off? Should you check in with them? Make sure they know like, hey, there's no malice here.
Yeah.
I've started doing that at work because now I'm a manager. Like I talk to people and give them instructions and things like that. And I have to be like, hey, just so you know, I'm coming at you with a like optimism and like comfort. Like this is, you know, if this comes out weird, like just know
there's no malice behind any of this.
No.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm giving instruction to help because I think like we're doing great and I think we need a little extra notes here. So my note is maybe we start doing this and this and this.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay, just making sure because sometimes I know that I can come off as being like, this needs to be done and this needs to be done. And it's like, that is not how I was trying to say that. Not at all. Like there are no hard
to relay information.
Yeah. But that's just how it is, you know? And I've learned a lot about like how much like autism has gotten like affected how my relationships have gone and things like that. And so like this year has been an immensely transformative year for me and it's been awesome. It's been really healthy. Like I still struggle with anxiety. I'm still like working with like doctors and stuff to find the right like medication and stuff and like having like I think anxiety is a lot worse whenever you know you have anxiety. Like I think before when I didn't know that I had a disorder, like it was just I just never felt good, you know? Like that's just the best what you can say is like I just don't feel good. I'm not happy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually worse whenever you know that you have a disorder because then like whenever my anxiety builds and I'm like on the verge of having an anxiety attack at work, I'm like I literally just have a disorder and there's nothing I can do to help it right now, you know? Yeah. I can try to breathe through it. I can like try to like stim. I can go outside and get some air. But like not knowing why something's happening, you just kind of like bear through it. And now like I'm constantly trying to like help my anxiety like, you know, decrease and all this stuff. And that's sometimes even more stressful because knowing I have anxiety sometimes gives me more anxiety because I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to do all the steps and I still have anxiety. What do I do? So it's been a walk. It's been a journey, but, overall, like I feel a million times better for the first time in my life. Like this year has been awesome.
It's great.
Yeah. So
I mean, and I'm not with you every day, but like I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have this levity.
Yeah.
It's like it's very apparent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that whenever I first started medication, I noticed immediately. Like it was like night and day where I realized, oh, this is how clear things feel when you don't.
This is what baseline is?
Yeah. Yeah. Because my baseline is other people's panic.
Yeah.
Like.
That's, Shelby.
Yeah. Like, and people that don't have anxiety issues don't understand what anxiety, like an anxiety disorder feels like. Like someone who does anxiety, think about the most stressful time you've been through. And like people with anxiety disorders, that's kind of like our like, where we are naturally, you know? Like I wake up and like my chest hurts and like my breath is unstable. Mm-hmm. Like I'm like, can't stay still. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm getting breakfast. I'm getting coffee. Like, you know,
just throwing caffeine at it. See if this helps.
Yeah. But, yeah, like my baseline was high levels of anxiety. And then bad anxiety was like, my body is like having an attack, you know? So yeah, it's definitely night and day difference. When I woke up and I didn't have anxiety, I've told you this before. It was like whenever I first got glasses for the first time.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad my eyesight was until like it was contacts, but the doctor put in contacts for the first time, and then we left. And I remember just like staring outside the window of the car on the way home, just looking at everything and being like, wow, this is like what the world looks like. You know, like I didn't realize how bad my vision was.
Yeah.
until I can see like the detail of the leaves on trees, and like I can see like people from far away. I can see buildings down the street. I can see cars in front of us. Like,
Yeah.
it was like that. Like, whenever I started medication and I didn't wake up with anxiety, I was like, I can think.
Yeah.
Like, I can actually think about things around me, and like, it was mind blowing. And it definitely woke me up and made me realize like how to navigate so much smoother, you know?
Yeah.
So that's been cool.
Well, I think that's a great transition into our first sponsor of the show today. I'm just joking. We have the sponsors.
I was like, what? Where's he going with this?
By the way, I've been working on some things. That whole time, man, I think it was a huge wake up call for a lot of people to like address things,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that a lot of people like less so with our generation, but I think a lot of people still just like it's in them to stifle
Mm-hmm.
and to like just it's okay,
Yeah.
like it's fine,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not fine, dude, and it just like being able to accept that and like I don't know what it is about like relinquishing the fact that you need help.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need an outside help.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For people, it's just like it's hard to say those words sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing is that like I've noticed that even when it comes to like medical stuff,
Mhm.
like you wake up and you have something wrong with your stomach, you know?
Yeah.
You're just like, I'll get through it. You
Yeah.
know? Like you have something wrong with your eye or whatever, like you have headaches for like a week. You're just like, I'm sure like
I'm
in a
sure
couple
it's gonna
weeks,
go away.
Yeah.
It's gotta, yeah.
Yeah. And like to an extent, yeah, maybe. But sometimes you're like, okay, I need a doctor. I need someone to tell me like, hey, you need to take this vitamin or
Yeah.
you need to take this antibiotic or you need this or that. And it's the same with mental health. Like people think like, oh, I'm just going through a rough patch or whatever, like, and then they think that, oh, it'll go by, you know? It's like
Mhm.
sometimes, and when I say sometimes, I mean for everyone, like it's important to just check in with a doctor and be like, all right, so this is going on with me. Like I remember I went to the doctor whenever I was ready to do something about my mental health.
Mm.
And he gave me a test. It was a depression test and an anxiety test. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I scored very high on both, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you need to see someone, man. Like, this is bad. And when I was taking the test, I was like, yeah, that's probably like a 4 or 5. You know, there's a 4. And it's a 4 or 5, you know? Like, yeah, that's a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, like you're only like 3 or 4 points away from the highest levels of anxiety and depression that exist. Like, are you okay? Do we need to keep you here? Like,
Yeah.
And so it's the same way. Like, and for me, I was just like, before that point, whenever I went to the doctor, I was just like, I just gotta go to work. I just gotta, you know,
Right. Yeah.
like I have to live life. Like things will be okay. And then I got to the point where I was like, no, I'm like. I'm getting in the way of relationships. I'm getting in the way of friendships. Like it's affecting my work. It's affecting I'm just tired of being tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to the doctor and then it helped. Like, and I think that's the thing with that I want to like, I've been pushing with other people that I know have issues as well. It's like, just talk to a doctor. Like, and by doctor, I mean a therapist. Like,
Yeah.
just tell them what's going on. Because if you like, I saw this video that kind of represented how I feel a lot, which is like you lose someone in your family, you lose a pet, you lose a job, you're running bad, like your finances are in shambles, like you don't know if you're going to be able to pay rent this month, like you're having health issues, like you're, you develop some kind of like weird back thing or whatever. Like it could be anything. Those are reasons to seek therapy.
Yeah.
And people don't think they are, you know? People think like people lose people every day. You know, they're just pets. Like pets don't live as long as humans. Like money is money. Like it's just the way of life. Like, no, these are reasons to talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
Because most people don't have the tools to manage their anxieties, their daily anxieties, the way they should.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's not taught.
Because it's not taught. They've never actually read and like they've never learned about it because no one's ever taught them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like focused on in schools. It's not focused on in work. Like you can take a sick day, but it's got to be a physical sick day. It can't be a mental sick day.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've talked to about with my employers is taking mental sick days because I have mental sick days.
Yeah.
Where like I wake up and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, this isn't bullshit. I'm not bullshitting you right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't on a bender last night. Yeah. I feel like I've been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And it's not because of anything physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely encourage people to like just get some checkups, kind of like, you know, you can do like if you don't feel like you're that big of a rut or whatever, still get a checkup every now and then. Mm-hmm. But I'm a big advocate of therapy at this point.
Yeah, with
how much it's done for me.
Yeah, I think this current generation is definitely seeing the benefits of it and like leaning more to the side of like, oh, it's not something that it's not woo woo at all. It's not like something, there's less of a stigma, I guess. And it's just something that you do. Like you go to get your yearly physical, you should also go to get a yearly mental check. Mm-hmm. See how you're doing. Yeah. But this whole thing isn't going to be just about mental health. Yeah, mental health. It's not that kind of podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see. I'm going to do a little pop-up.
I know you can edit that down.
And I honestly don't know how much of like editing because like it's a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like genuine.
Yeah, and it's the launch. Like the launch might be a little serious.
Yeah, it might be a little serious. It might be a little clunky. It might be like different than our normal episode would be.